Good morning. We're going to do lesson 1.7 trekkers from Northwest Bible Church and any other trekkers who would like to follow along here. We're talking about risky servanthood and what it means to be a servant, which means sometimes you will alienate and people will walk away from you. Just as Jesus' own native town, Nazareth, walked away from him, so we do have times where people will walk away from us when we are providing or presenting the gospel to him or to them. And so today we'll talk about this again. Our verse today is out of Luke. It is Luke 4:18 and 19, and it is a longer verse, so please take some time this week. You may want to chunk it up. Best way to do that is to break it down into segments. For instance, the first portion of this, the first sentence, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has appointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, could be your first break point. The second break point would be he has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovering a sight to the blind, and then to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. And so you can break it down over several days and then put it together at the end of the week. And that way you would have your memory verse memorized. And so again, this verse in itself, Jesus is reading this in Nazareth on the day or the Sabbath day in the synagogue by reading the text or the scroll of the book of Isaiah, which is commonplace on the Sabbath day in the synagogues, is that they will read from the scrolls. And from there, at the end of this, he proclaims that this particular statement is to be fulfilled now by his coming into his mission, into his journey here over the next 3.5 years, here to the people of Israel. And so normally you would have people who would be in your life that are native to you, whether they're in your town, whether they're people that you know. They could even be family members. And again, at first Jesus was heard. He was definitely recognized after being in the wilderness and surviving the temptations. He risked his relationship to share the truth. He spoke with boldness, this responding to the people and telling them that this is the time of the fulfillment of this prophecy was something that was very bold. And Jesus would end up responding with grace. He would walk through the crowd at the end, but the people would reject him. So people were rejecting him because they didn't understand. They may have read the words, they may have read the scrolls, they may have read Isaiah, they may have read the Torah, but in the end they didn't understand why Jesus' mission was here and now. They were looking for something that was more earthly than heavenly, more physical than spiritual. And that's sometimes how things do happen here in life. People will understand or read the verses, and they may even memorize them, but do they truly understand what they read and how it is supposed to impact your life? And that is what Jesus talks about, that people will even reject those that are their own because they don't understand. And so we'll talk about this again in verses 14 and 15. People hear about him. They hear the things that happen. Again, earlier in the book of Luke, you hear about him moving forward with the first miracle, which is he turned water into wine at the wedding in Cana. But again, people only believe at times what they hear and what they see. And so, again, when Jesus proclaimed that this was something that was moving forward in verses 16 through 22, people didn't understand that. they were asking, or they were scoffing, and they were saying, "Isn't this the son of Joseph the carpenter?" They couldn't believe something so lowly, someone lower on the in the society of that time would have such power and such boldness to actually say that he was the Messiah. And did he really say the word Messiah? No, he really didn't say the word Messiah. He said it was his time, his mission. And so God had sent the Son, Jesus, on a mission. His mission was to, serve the poor, serve those who were in sin, to try to free them, to have a relationship with him and the Father. But that rejection did happen. Your questions later on, you hear that people say that it says in the statements or the questions in days 5 and 6, where the people were scoffing at him, and they led to violent tendencies to try to push him off a cliff. And Jesus did respond, that people will not accept their own, especially a prophet, someone who is bringing change, that they will scoff at that. And so that is something, as a child of God, as a child of the Savior, that you will at times have people that will reject you. They don't understand. They don't understand the words that are coming across. It could be not their time. It could also be that they just will reject the word in its entirety. But you have to do just like Jesus does. Jesus actually walks in grace, and he is an example of how to deal with rejection. He gracefully walked through the crowd. He didn't start any other violence. He didn't respond with anger or tendency. He just walked through them and walked away. Uh, and we will see this time and time again as being a servant, an example uh, in our time to the people, that we walk in that grace of just dealing with rejection by letting it go. Again, all you can do is do as a servant, helping others, and in this time, just providing the information that Jesus is the Son of God, he died on the cross, and just go forward from there. So I hope you have a great rest of the week. We will continue on this. Next week, we will be talking about a review session. We'll highlight the key verses that you've talked about here over the first 7 weeks. And then we'll move forward from there. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.